The classic 2-2 script the pathetic farce of the Australians, or the truth behind the conspiracy eliminating U19 Vietnam. 20 minutes, 2 goals, and a plot twist worth millions of dollars that no one in the world could ever imagine. Welcome back to our deep tactical analysis channel. In today's video, we will tear apart a shocking scandal behind the heavily calculated draw between U19 Australia and U19 Cambodia, a match that exposed the darkest corners of youth football in Southeast Asia. If you watched the entire 90 minutes last night, you would certainly feel stunned and outraged, but was this merely an unlucky game for a powerhouse? Or was it a theatrical play bought and paid for from inside the locker room during halftime? This video will bring you 3 shocking answers. First, the technical data that proves the anomalies of the Australian defence. Second, the tactical evidence of a money-centred handshake to achieve an outcome that benefits both sides. And finally, most importantly, the direct impact of this conspiracy on the fate of U19 Vietnam. Please watch patiently because the analysis ahead will completely change your perspective. Before the opening whistle blew, not a single soul doubted a landslide victory for the Socceroos. U19 Australia brought to this year's tournament a vastly superior squad. They possess players with highly ideal physical statures, tall and powerful. Their physical dominance helped them completely bully the opposition in one-on-one duels. Alongside their physical edge, the sheer speed of their wingers was also a premium weapon. They always knew how to suffocate the playing space of their opponents. This supremacy was clearly demonstrated through their stable ball retention in the central midfield. Meanwhile, U19 Cambodia was dismissed as mere underdogs. They entered the match under immense pressure and skepticism from the pundits. Technical proficiency, match grit, and international experience were things they desperately lacked. A one-sided affair, a downpour of goals, was exactly what had been predicted. In reality, what unfolded in the first half proved those predictions to be entirely accurate. U19 Australia dynamics started with supreme confidence. They quickly dictated every inch of space on the pitch. The central midfielders constantly delivered long diagnostic passes to tear open the opponent's backline. They advanced the ball, imposing their tactical blueprint with absolute ease. Cambodia's 5-back defensive block was perpetually thrown into a state of red alert. The gulf in class was rapidly materialized by goals that arrived in quick succession. The opening goal stemmed from a textbook flank attack. The ball was crossed to the back post for a clinical finish. Not long after, the second goal surfaced under an identical blueprint. The Cambodian defense looked virtually helpless against the relentless onslaught. A 2-0 scoreline, when the first half concluded, made everyone think the game was dead and buried many fans, even turned off their TVs or left the stadium early. But if you think 2-0 was the end, then the second half was where the truth began to unmask. What exactly happened in the locker room during those 15 minutes of rest? Why did a team that was completely dominant suddenly surrender the pitch? We must look straight into these highly abnormal developments. The shift did not come from just a few individuals, it came from an entire system and a collective attitude. Could there have been hidden calculations outside the realm of football? A world-class team like Australia cannot simply collapse after just 15 minutes. Massive question marks about a match-fixing plot began to emerge, and the answer lies in the way they operated in the second half. Stepping into the second half, the face of both teams altered in a staggering manner. U19 Cambodia unexpectedly pushed their defensive line high. They deployed an aggressive press right in the opponent's half. This was an incredibly brave decision by their tactician. Mistake after mistake left the viewers deeply suspicious. In the 72nd minute, the true turning point occurred. A seemingly harmless cross from the right wing. An Australian defender, in a position of total control, clumsily bundled the ball into his own net. The decisive play that sealed the 2-2 draw left the entire stadium utterly stunned. No one could believe such a script could unfold in an official tournament. Australia stood frozen while Cambodia erupted in boundless joy. Through the deep lens of football professionals, we are forced to uncover the second layer of substance. It is the question of bribery, or a cold, calculated pragmatism carried out to a ruthless degree to declare a team guilty of match fixing. We always require ironclad legal evidence from investigative authorities. But within the thin line between corruption and tactics, the Australians exhibited a highly cowardly brand of football. They took the cold pragmatism of Western football and forced it into a youth tournament. Once they had guaranteed their ticket to the knockout stage, they began to make the most selfish calculations. First was the objective of squad rotation. They actively rested their key pillars, playing with zero intensity to avoid injuries ahead of the semifinals. But the darker motive was explicitly to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They knew perfectly well if they thrashed Cambodia, they would inadvertently drag U19 Vietnam into the next round. In a short tournament, eliminating a traditional arch-rival like Vietnam with a tailor-made draw was a highly calculated chess move. They willingly discarded the spirit of fair play to achieve their desired macro outcome. The second half meltdown of U19 Australia was not merely a tactical collapse, it was a vivid manifestation of a decay in morals and character. When the substitutes were introduced, their system betrayed an arrogant complacency. They played with a loose mentality and a crisis management capacity that was utterly pathetic. Mind-boggling errors continuously unfolded across the defensive line, the peak of which was that self-inflicted own goal, highly clumsy by the yellow-shirted defender. That specific sequence proved that the mindset of these young players is not mature enough. They have not learned how to sustain professional integrity across the full 90 minutes. They stained the reputation of their nation's football with a half-hearted performance. The core of the issue lies right here, whether this was a backdoor handshake worth millions or simply a matter of cold, Selfish pragmatism, the act of taking their foot off the gas in the second half by U19 Australia, is entirely unacceptable. It inflicts a severe wound upon the noble spirit of sportsmanship. It robs the right to compete fairly of other teams. A youth tournament is supposed to be a platform for players to test themselves and learn, but Southeast Asian football has long been an environment riddled with political calculations. The loopholes in scheduling accidentally become the perfect stage for pre-written dramas. Instead of counting on the ethics of our opponents, we must face a bitter truth. The blood-stained lesson for Vietnamese football is that we must dictate our own destiny. We can never allow ourselves to become victims in the mathematical equations of others. If we want to advance, we must win by our own strength. Now let us dive deeper into the true nature of those personnel changes. In the first half, Australia's 4-3-3 blueprint functioned flawlessly. They played with a defensive block that pushed high in perfect unison. The connection between lines was executed seamlessly. The central midfield pair constantly rotated the ball to both flanks. They stretched the structural compact of Cambodia, forcing the opponent to run continuously. This depleted the stamina of the blue shirts at a rapid pace. Every technical metric from possession percentage, shot count to passing accuracy was overwhelmingly skewed toward Australia. It was a display of dominance that was absolute. There was zero indication that they would encounter any trouble. Yet right at the start of the second half, the Australian coach made 3 consecutive substitutions. The core pillars in midfield and the wingers were pulled out to rest. Replacing them were bench players who rarely see minutes. In theory, this was a logical decision to preserve energy for the semifinals. However, the glaring issue here was the attitude and the approach of the players entering the pitch. They played in an incredibly detached manner. They offered absolutely no pressing triggers when the opponent possessed the ball. They allowed Cambodia's midfielders the luxury to combine and slice passes open. This sheer hoi-hot was the exact trigger that caused the tactical system to completely shatter. Let us scrutinize the sequence leading to Cambodia's first goal. It was a play born from a misplaced pass right in the center circle by Australia. Instead of immediately dropping back to cover and organize the shape, Australia's defenders merely stood and watched. They tracked back in an incredibly slow motion, as if they were taking a stroll. The space in front of the box was left wide open. Cambodia's striker comfortably controlled, turned, and fired. A shot that lacked real venom, but the Australian goalkeeper also dove in an incredibly sluggish manner. The ball rolled into the net to the astonishment of everyone watching, a concession that exposed a lack of focus to an unbelievable degree for a major team. Following that blow, normally a powerhouse would surge forward to reclaim control. They would turn up the pressure to re-establish their hierarchy, but no, Australia persisted with that slow and high-risk style. They continuously executed lateral passes deep inside their own half. This is a highly dangerous behavior when the opponent is pushing high in an aggressive press, and what had to happen inevitably happened. Psychological pressure and sheer complacency led to the second goal, a sequence where the Australian defender was completely free to clear it into the stands, or he could have driven a long ball up the pitch to relieve the pressure. But no, he opted for a solution that defied all belief, a casual side foot that sent the ball straight into his own net past the helpless goalkeeper. The score was leveled at 2-2, a script you would think only exists in movies, yet it unfolded right before our eyes. We must pose a serious question: was this a mere cosmic coincidence? Or was it a premeditated arrangement? Let us look at the standings before the final match day. If Australia had won, they would have accumulated 9 points, solidifying top spot. Cambodia would have stayed on 4 points with a poor goal difference. At that point, U19 Vietnam, provided we won big in our final match, would have stood a great chance to snatch the best runner-up ticket, especially since we possessed a superior goal difference compared to Cambodia. But when this match concluded in a draw, Australia ended up with 7 points, still topping the group. Cambodia secured 5 points, clinching the spot of the best second-place team. Both sides walk hand in hand into the semifinals. The only team eliminated was U19 Vietnam. One arrow pierced 2 targets. It allowed Australia to rest their star players while simultaneously wiping out a dangerous contender. This handshake, if proven true, will remain a dark stain on youth football. A youth tournament is supposed to be a place for players to test their mettle, to learn, and to grow. It is an arena where the highest values of sportsmanship must be held paramount. If from the tender age of 19 these young athletes are already taught how to manipulate, how to play half-heartedly to manufacture results according to a script, then where will the future of the sport go? Matches like this will systematically kill the passion of the players and the trust of the fans. They will no longer find any reason to come to the stadium and cheer for matches where the ending has already been written. The ASEAN Football Federation (AFF) must deliver actions that are far more aggressive. They cannot eternally remain silent and look away in the face of anomalies like this. Tearing apart the match footage to analyze the competitive integrity of the players is something entirely within their power. If signs of match walking are uncovered, they must hand down punishments that are severe. Only then will it serve as a proper deterrent to other nations. Alongside that, a structural overhaul of the tournament format is mandatory. All matches in the final round of groups whose outcomes are interconnected must kick off at the exact same hour. This will completely eradicate any opportunity for collusion and guarantee absolute fairness for the competition. As for U19 Vietnam, we must also look in the mirror. We failed to decide our own fate in the preceding matches. Dropping points in a highly regrettable fashion forced us into a passive position. We had to depend on the outcomes of external fixtures, and when your destiny rests in the hands of others, elimination is an absolute certainty. This is a lesson that comes at an immense cost for our young starlets. If we want to advance, if we want to conquer, we must be stronger, we must put the game away ourselves instead of praying for the fairness of our rivals. Regardless, the tournament has now closed its gates on us, but the controversy surrounding this specific match will undoubtedly echo for a long time. Southeast Asian football remains a structural valley with background stories that are immensely complex. To transition to the continental stage, to dream of the World Cup, we require an ecosystem of healthy competition, an environment where every single team must fight until the final whistle for the colours of their flag. Let us hope that the bitter lessons from this year's campaign will guide Vietnamese football towards steps that are far more calculated in the future. Once again, thank you very much for spending your valuable time following our tactical breakdown today. Please share this video if you found it insightful and impactful. What are your thoughts on the true nature of last night's match? Was it a genuine psychological collapse of young prospects? Or is it plain as day that a directive to throw the game was issued by the coaching staff to achieve a specific agenda? Please leave your analysis in the comment section right below this video. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming deep tactical breakdowns. Goodbye and see you all in the next videos.